It's okay, hon. Breathe. Oh, yes, we know. I love you. And I quit. No, you don't. You can't do that. It's not allowed.
Oh, you mean I can't announce it at a meeting?
Not a
This is
public.
my letter of resignation. God, you know.
10 minutes to get through this
It
here.
does say two participants, so Greg must be on.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It
I don't
is.
think it's ever been this bad. And as I get older, it's earlier.
That's why I keep mine short. Because otherwise
If I didn't have a face like a pumpkin pie, I would, you know, why you have a narrow face? I go out there, it's like the moon, you know.
There he is.
I'll leave all of us in small.
Oh, forever. I don't, honestly, I don't pick up.
Hello, Greg.
I don't use any of those stuff.
All right. To call the planning commission meeting to order. Get everybody to stand and say our pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't know why you gave me this.
I didn't, they made me sit.
No, I didn't.
Talking to me.
Oh.
Talking to Diane. She goes, I'm aware, I don't want my back to you know.
Oh.
If I fall off, it means that's it.
We're all gonna laugh.
Shut up,
So,
of course.
and it's recorded.
If anybody wants an itinerary, got a few of them here.
Yeah, I got
Sorry, you guys.
I did not. We still have printed copies there of the verbiage, okay. If we run out, I can reprint more.
Oh.
I don't know either.
Can you hear us, Greg?
I can. Sorry, I had myself muted so I don't interrupt accidentally, but I can hear you.
That's okay. All right, fantastic. I'd like to welcome everybody for coming today. Good group. I'd like to introduce you. This is Greg Gramsford. He is our consultant that we're having help go through our zoning. It's about a 18-month process. But he's helping us make sure that everything is in compliance with state regulations and that our verbiage is up to date as we review the not only the master plan, but also the ordinances to make sure that the language is all, this section says the same thing as this section does, rather than contradicting and stuff like that as we get into it and stuff. So you've got your attendance done.
Sure.
We're all here. Thank you very much. All right, let's get started. There is, as Diane mentioned, there is everything's printed, was on the board there on the table. I just want to go over a couple things. As usual with a public hearing, public hearing is required as part of the legal process of making changes to any zoning rules and regulations. The Bois Blanc Township Planning Commission has proposed changes to our zoning rules and regulations to include the addition of zoning around the topics of planned unit developments, support of tree preservation and the Pine Subdivision Beach Park. Public notice for this hearing was published in the New St. Ignace News on September 10th, 2025, as well as posted on Township Kiosk and on the Township website under meetings. The purpose of this public hearing is to give public an opportunity to voice their opinions and provide oral or written testimony before a final decision is made. This is just a process. Nothing is written in stone right now. And it won't be till after, this hearing, and if it's deemed that more information needs to be gathered, then that will be done and stuff. So, the process, public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, and just one topic, please. We'll kind of go through things in order. And then should you have more than one topic to cover, you will have, to allow others to go before you and ask for a second public comment time. Raise hands for public comment will be chosen by the chair to speak. Testimony can be provided orally, in writing. It's best to provide both if you can. Be sure to include your name, address, phone number, and email address when you're writing. Okay. No responses to comments, questions, or concerns will be provided during the hearing. Hearings are a one-way conversation. Typically, we get into answering some questions if we can. That's why we have Greg with us. He's more familiar with the legal verbiage on so we're covered legally. And the township is best covered legally in the verbiage of the ordinances. It's important to speak slowly and clearly so the secretary can record your comments. Provide a written copy. Providing a written copy of the remarks and is recommended. After all public hearings have concluded on the matter, of final decision must be made within 45 days following the conclusion of the last public hearing by the Planning Commission. It then goes to the county for 30 days for the county to review, and then before coming back to the Planning Commission, and then ultimately going to the Township Board for final review and approval. We don't approve anything. We don't have the final approval on anything. All that will, in the process, just go to the board. So, if there's no questions on that, in this pamphlet that was up here, it says Article 2-A, Planned Unit Development, which is PUDs. I think in lieu of going through every page, reading every page to you what it is. I would ask you, some of you haven't reviewed it already, to review it. And
You just open up questions.
yep,
and
questions, comments, and
regarding
like I
that
say-
section first.
yep, and then like I say, we'll try to answer as much as we possibly can. Like I say, we have Greg here with us. So, but I do want to go through kind of this first page here of what it is. A planned unit development is established as a zoning district in which creative development and preservation of land is permitted and encouraged in appropriate locations within Bois Blanc Township. By allowing a PUD as an option, the township intends to provide a regulatory basis whereby a degree of flexibility may be available in the use, density, building, placement, dimensions, access, open space, and other land development features in order to encourage innovations in land use and promote the preservation of forest resources, natural features, and open space. B, more particularly, the PUD zoning district is intended to achieve the following purposes. Implement the goals and recommendations of the township master plan. Provide a more desirable living environment by preserving the rural and forested character of the township through the protection of forested lands, stands of trees, lakes, streams, hills, wetlands, and similar natural features. Encourage innovation in land use and variety in design, layout, and type of buildings and structures. Allow limited development at a scale that is commensurate with the availability of public services to accommodate it. Achieve economy and efficiency in the use of land, natural resources, energy, and the provision of public services and utilities. Encourage the use of land in accordance with its character and adaptability. Balance the protection and preservation of the township, natural assets, and rural and forest character with the individual rights to a reasonable use of property. Allow development opportunities that afford recognizable and substantial benefits to the ultimate user of the development and the community in general, where such benefits would be infeasible or unlikely under the rigid requirements of conventional zoning districts. To accomplish these purposes, the provisions of this article regulate the use, development, and preservation of PUD lands differently than the regulations of the prior zoning district in which the lands are located. Development under the provisions of this article shall occur only in compliance with the minimum requirements and approval procedures specified by this article. Township board approval of a PUD shall be given only in accordance with the standards of PUD approval stated herein. All right, any comments on the PUD, what it is? All right, Dale?
Yeah.
State your name, please.
Dale Quattrin, I place at the West End, called Vera, this is the sign and the gate there. That's my family's place. Anyone here been involved in forming a PUD, a PUD in another area? I have. Anyways, I'm not wanting to be a formal part of forming it. I'm at that age where I can't do that anymore. We wrote a PUD on 3 sheets of paper. That was 45 years ago. 2 years ago, it was tried to be breached and it was enforced there. As this is written, who's gonna enforce that on the island? Who's gonna do that?
It has to come to the.
I think it's designed here. If the lawyers and someone with a bunch of bucks off of here want to make a whole bunch of money here, this will bankrupt. As it is written, they can bankrupt our township. That is my opinion.
Oh, no,
It needs to be pared down, it needs to be restricted in a specific area. That's what we did. 2 years ago, I found out some big money tried to breach it. And they were shot down. It was easy enforced on 3 sheets of paper, not a lawyer's daylight. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It's up to you. This township was built the character of this township was built on individual entrepreneurs. I think it needs to be straightens that relationship with the people that live here, make their living, their children grow up here, and needs to be strengthened. This is losing that. I think that's the feature, like my wife, she got this cup from someplace that says, if you're lucky enough to be on Bois Blanc Island, you're lucky enough.
Right.
That's the way I feel.
Okay.
I don't, that's it. I could go on and on, as you guys know, but I'm really afraid of what's this is gonna cost our township for people of it and the money. I've seen it on other townships where the township had cost go bankrupt in order to get out of a suit. This is wrong.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So-
Yeah, so it seems to
State-
me.
state your
No,
name,
I'm
please.
sorry. My name is Frank Kern. I'm down in the Pines in the Lane Schultz Cottage. I've read through the document, and it seems to me that this is a way to legally circumvent our existing zoning laws. I'd like to understand if there is a party behind this, or if this is just something we pulled out of the air and decided, we ought to talk about PUD for the island. If there is an individual or individuals that are promoting this for whatever their reasons might be, I think we need to know about that up front.
Do you feel that by doing the PUD, it's limiting the island? Or
No.
people on the island?
I think that a PUD is by its very nature designed to not necessarily circumvent, but to work around in a legal manner the existing zoning laws. And there's a lot of discussion in the document about condominiums, about other golf courses and fishing and all these development things. And that's all well and good, but is that just, let's think about the next 40 years? Or is that something that someone is trying to get done now? And I think we have a right to know about that.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, there's nobody behind this.
Okay,
The-
then my
the-
follow-up is, why are we?
Go ahead.
doing it?
Okay,
Good point.
all right, that's a valid
It's
question,
fair.
absolutely. And I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say misinformation, but I think a misunderstanding of what the purpose of the PUD was, okay, or is.
I think we ought to
Okay.
know that up front.
The PUD, and Greg,
He's sleeping.
no,
He's making notes.
did you hear Frank's concerns?
Yeah, I
With the
did.
PUD? Okay, can you explain kind of to everybody, with the PUD, that it's,
How we went down that road.
yeah, kind of how we got to where we are and how it protects the island, with the parameters that are set up in the PUD, and because it's not, like with the eight parcel split. Somebody comes in and wants to have their parcel and they want to split it into 8 parcels, okay? They would come to us, it would automatically go into a PUD, okay, for that particular development. And then, there's certain, it gives us a bargaining to work with them on what we would like to see preserved. You can get as technical as you want to get with it, but that's the purpose. And Greg, if you could kind of take over from there.
Sure. So as. I'm sorry, I thought I heard somebody. As the chair noted, the purpose of a plan unit development is to provide really the township with more control. Where this came from initially was the concern of very large property owners, the potential for development. And as Frank noted, I believe it was Frank, um, without a PUD, you just have your basic zoning. So those zoning regulations are limited to what are on the books in terms of splitting lots and how they are developed. To help give the township some control, the PUD language, it does provide that greater flexibility, as the chair noted, and as some of the public has noted. And as part of that process, there's kind of that give and take, but there are parameters that are set up to help control what that outcome will be. So yeah, there is a benefit for the developer in the sense that there's the potential for um, flexibility in the underlying zoning, but on the same token, it gives the township the control. As for those of you that have had the opportunity to review the language, there's requirements for open spaces, minimum qualifying conditions, the process that is conducted. There's front yard trees and buffers that are required. And as the chair noted, the control component is if someone was to propose more than 8 splits. The reason the word site condominium is in there is because to take a step back in terms of properties in the state of Michigan, there's really 3 ways to have property exists, right? But to create a sellable piece of land, you have your meets and bounds divisions, your uses by right, anywhere throughout the state. There's a number of divisions based on your acreage, and that is a use by right, really in any community. And then you'll have platting or subdivisions where through the Land Division Act, if a property has, typically what happens first is someone uses their splits they're permitted, say they have 5. They use those up and then they'll pursue a plat to get more lots, or they could go through the Condominium Act and have site condos. They all essentially look the same on the ground, but you'd have a spot for a home. So the idea behind this PUD language is to ensure that anything of greater than 8 units or 8 lots or combination thereof, the only ways to create sellable land in the state, gives the township the control to make sure that they don't just have someone, if you have large enough acreage, you could have 12, 16 splits available. There's a the numbers go up as the land goes up. So there's the potential for that type of number of lots without township control if the PUD language doesn't exist. The control, though, would go to simply the underlying district, whatever that district requires now for minimum lot width, lot acreage, setbacks, and so forth. That would simply apply. So hopefully I'm answering the questions that were raised and explaining the purpose of a PUD well here. But part of the PUD process that gives control is it is a rezoning to the plan unit development district that has public hearings involved, the planning commission level, the board level. So it is more of a involved process than what would be entitled to someone just in the underlying district as a use by right. If someone came into the township and wanted to split the number of lots they're entitled to under the Land Division Act, they submit the application, the township makes sure it meets what it needs to, and it can be approved. There's no hearing that goes with that. There's no public involvement. So that's another one of the benefits of a plan unit development is the public's involved, just like today, receiving the notice of the potential of a development, being able to comment, the planning commission giving the developer the opportunity to soften impacts and control to prevent negative effects, health, safety, and welfare, all of those types of things. So I might have went down a little bit of a rabbit trail there, but that's the idea of the plan unit development, is to make sure that anything greater than 8 lots or units, site condos or just platted lots, will have control by the township, so that you're not just getting things that would cause you some heartburn, so to speak.
Thank you,
Thank you, Greg.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but our ordinance already has PUD language in it. Doesn't it? And aren't you just updating what we have already?
No, there's no language in it that would be specific to a unit development or
Like this.
a large scale.
But there is, if somebody wanted a plan unit developing our current ordinance, they would have to come before the planning commission. It
They,
is in our ordinance.
So
The definition might be
Yeah, so this isn't really anything new, it's just
added.
updating.
Yeah.
What we have already.
More parameters involved in it.
Yeah.
Mr.
I
Nyes,
can't call it, so.
Ed Nias, West End. My question is, what power does PUD have over reservation?
I can't answer that. Do you have any idea on that,
Greg,
Greg, in this area?
I was making a note from the last comment. What was this current question? I'm sorry.
What power does PUD or anybody have over reservation land, tribal?
Native American reservation land?
right,
Yes,
right.
I don't believe we have any control over that.
thank you very much.
I think that's federal, isn't it? And we really don't have the right.
You
over
got 12 tribes in Michigan. You have no power over them 12 tribes.
We don't have tribal
We're
land
claiming it.
here on the
Yeah, you
island. We're
don't.
not
Yeah, you
trying.
don't.
It's claiming
We're
it.
not trying to say that we do.
Yet you don't. Listen to what
Okay.
I'm trying to tell you.
So I just have a follow-up.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
Family can live there 7 generations without doing anything with you people.
So
Go
what
ahead.
we're really doing here is trying to put in place a defense mechanism so we don't get some crazy
Yes.
development here on our island. Is that? Why
Yes,
didn't we say that in the first?
It is
Well,
exactly,
'cause-
Drawers all locked
exactly,
up.
cut right.
because we have to follow the legal verbiage
Yep.
of everything, and the attorneys are involved in all that, so it's just the language.
Okay, I got it.
May I just make a
Yeah, go
comment?
ahead.
To Frank, I totally understand where you're coming from, because I saw the word P, or the letters PUD, then I went bananas.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well-
when and where is Bob gonna have a PUD? But if we don't have the language,
We
Well,
don't. have-
I mean, you have, you know,
We
you
can,
can start.
we
at the
can
beginning.
still fight it. There's board approval.
Thank
zoning
you.
Approval.
Thank you, Frank.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody's involved.
So it's just a matter of formalizing of the process. is
Right.
what
Yes.
this
If
is
we,
about.
if the language is not in the ordinance, then
It makes it hard.
we,
It makes it more difficult,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I can't, whether it's a PUD or not, there are certain things I can and cannot do on my land
Mhm.
based on existing zoning laws.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mike,
Mike Johnson. That's what I was gonna ask, is how it's gonna add to or change the existing zoning laws.
it's not gonna change any of the existing zoning laws. All this does is pertains to, like an over 8 split development.
Because I formerly was a zoning administrator, and the zoning laws need to be updated and changed.
That's,
And
they're being
every
done.
day in listening to news, I agree that needs to be implemented. I don't know the wording of it, because I'm not that, but there's a lot of changes that need to be protected,
Right.
put it that way.
We, if I may, we started a process working with Greg on revising and going through our zoning back in January. And it's been very detailed, and we've been going through things, I mean, section by section. Some things we have provided worded changes that we want to pursue as we go forward. Some things are just updating to say, well, this really isn't viable because of state law anymore. It needs to read like this. Some things we've said, well, you're saying this in this section, but you say this in another section, so we're trying to make everything match. But in that process of going through the zoning, there's also things that come up like the PUD that says, you don't have this in your zoning, this is a place in which we should put it. And we address it at the time, or things come up like the short-term rental did. This is a problem that's been brought to us that we need to address. Now's the time to address it. So the process is taking a while, but we're trying to do it the right way. And we're trying to update as we go. And as we finalize sections, this is the first step, is the public hearing. So that's how we got where we are today, and we are trying to update everything.
I'm trying to make everything match, everything work together. 5 year to the zoning to everything. Everything has to work. That's what Greg is for.
And I will admit, when we first got this, I said the same thing. What is a PUD and why do we need it?
Yeah, we all
But
did.
that's how we learn, and that's how we got to the point we are with the public hearing today. Because it is for protection.
Yes, sir.
I'm Tim McGillen. I'm at the West End. I think part of the concern is, and you somewhat addressed this in your opening, it's under minimum qualifying conditions. PUD must be under unified ownership or control, so the person or legal entity applying for PUD approval. I think that's the first thing that many of us were like, uh-oh.
Mhm.
Somebody's got their eye on a 1,200 acre piece of property and they want to put in a Mishaway. They want to put in a Canadian Lakes. So I think that's maybe where some of this information or the misconception, I should say, is, has occurred. The gentleman on the screen, Greg, mentioned, the benefits. Can you talk at all about what would be a negative for a township to put this type of, PUD in place with their current zoning, because it all rests on, permitted uses. It'll approve for any use allowed with the underlying zoning district or the ordinance. Speaks to me that we're fixing something that isn't broken. I hear the board saying it's not really broken, but it's bent and we need to straighten it. Greg?
Greg, can you speak to that?
Can you comment on that, Greg?
I sure can.
We spoke about the benefits. He was asking about the negative side.
Well, I've been doing this long enough to know that I've been in this field for 20 some years. Sometimes I'm surprised. But in my experience with PUDs, I haven't seen, frankly, a negative effect yet. Maybe there won't ever be one in my experience, because the benefit, as I noted earlier, is it gives the township more control. While it does give the developer more flexibility than the underlying district, the return on that, for example, one of the provisions in this PUD language is 30% of the site will be open space. There's no control in that regard right now in the ordinance if somebody just splits some lots. So, I'd be willing to bet all of our communities have planned unit developments. And it's a great tool really on both sides of the table, but particularly for the community, because you've got that control. And you'll see in this language, there's a laundry list of standards. Like with anything for a site plan, special use, there are standards. Things can't be arbitrary. The developer has to meet those standards for the community to approve it. And if they don't meet them, they need to put measures in place with what they proposed to get to that point. If they can't, then it could be denied. So that component too, giving the township more control for denial, has always been a benefit. But I'm not trying to sugarcoat this. I really can't think of a negative effect that I've seen with a planned unit development, and I bet I've been a part of 24 of them. So they work really well.
Thank you.
Just one point that Greg brought up is that it's a community decision, with all the public hearings that have to happen. We do take, what this island has to say to heart, and I think that's been proven in the past, just even the last couple of years with different projects and stuff that have been proposed. That, it doesn't matter what we as a committee think. It has to go by, what you guys as a community think. And so, that we all have to live together. And one of the biggest things on this island, that I've only been here 6 years, but it's, the preservation of the island, and so that's one of the big things on anything that we do.
Am I allowed to make a comment or ask something?
Let me get to Linda a minute, because she had her hand up earlier.
In reading through this, it looks like that the developer cannot go for an appeal on the zoning. This bypasses any request for special circumstances or any kind of zoning appeal. Why is that? And am I right in what I was reading with that?
Do you know what section that was in, or Greg, do you know? If the developer itself, if they have an appeal process?
So Linda's correct. At the end of the plan unit development language, it is prohibited for the zoning board of appeals to consider amendments, or excuse me, to give relief. Now, the idea behind that language is it's basically saying that they don't have the authority to modify the township board's decision. Ultimately, a PUD is the board's decision recommended by the planning commission. The ZBA still has its authority in granting relief in certain circumstances, but they can't change the content of a PUD. So for example, if the board requires 30% open space as the ordinance mandates, someone can't appeal to the ZBA to get that down to 10. They lack that authority because it's specific provisions of the PUD that controls, the board decision controls. It's not like a typical application for relief of a setback or the height of a building or something like that on a typical property. So that's why that language is there, because it's kind of a note to the developer to tell them, here's the parameters in which you need to work. It's the planning commission and the board. Don't even think about trying to skirt around this and go to the ZBA. So that's why that language is there.
I think what that would mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but Linda, is so in a situation where a developer brings a proposal to the planning commission and the POD is turned down, he does not have the right to go to the ZBA to override that.
That's correct.
Kind of where that's at.
Jamie?
Rick had something, so.
Okay, Rick.
Rick Navar, live down on the east end. It seems like we'd be better served as island not to allow PUDs to develop here at all.
Amen.
Open the door to have the ability to start a PUD. You know, opens us up to being very under legal costs, you know, by big money. If
All
we
right.
don't allow PUDs, they're not gonna come here.
Called the golden rule. He who has the gold will rule.
Yeah,
But if we
you know,
still,
If
some of these PUDs.
the availability, if you have the property, the availability is there to still come in and do a development.
Right.
Okay, you're gonna be under the confines of the, of the way the ordinances read now. Okay, and so, they could come in, completely strip 80 acres, whatever, and then put in however many units that parcel's able to split, and there's no recourse or anything, it just
Subdivision,
could be.
80 acres.
Yeah,
You know,
and you could do that right now.
yeah, because. there's no
Somebody
law.
could come in
Yeah.
tomorrow.
But we have what, probably 8 different subdivisions that have never been developed.
Amen. And the state owns them. State owns, remember the state owns 52% of this island.
Yes, but remember, the zoning subdivisions that we have, the lot size is 25 foot wide by 120 foot long.
Thank
Which
you.
does not mean
Thank you.
where we can do anything with it.
I just.
And a lot of those lots.
You have to have 40,000 square foot to get a split now. So what you're talking about is not true.
so to address the big money thing, if big money comes after and wants to do something, we're in much better standing if we have a POD in place.
Then if we
Yes.
than
don't.
if we
We
don't.
don't. Thank you.
Right, and that was my,
Right.
that's where I wanted to comment. I mean, I think we all need to be nervous that there is a developer that's been buying up land here,
Amen.
and we don't know anything that he's doing, and we need to protect ourselves against that.
Yeah.
Because there's not a face behind the LLCs that are buying up all this acreage, and we have no idea. I don't think I'm worried about any person in this room developing anything. I'm afraid of somebody that says LLC at the end of their names.
That we
They
don't.
have short-term rentals over here already, they're part of businesses over here already. I personally feel like we need to have this in place to protect us against what happened on Drummond Island when Monahan came in and put a golf resort. That's all I have. to
It's
say.
done good for that island. I had a lot of.
It's
customers.
closed and up for sale for 350,000. It did nothing.
I think in
then
the
left.
past, in
Right.
the past, a lot of the ordinances that we have been reactive or reactionary to something that has happened. And you know, since I've been on the board and the committee that we have, we've, you know, it probably stems, you know, from when we finished the master plan. The master plan hadn't been done since 2009. And so we got that updated, we got that through, we're in compliance there. But in doing that, it kind of put us in the frame of mind of future.
We're trying to
And
be
that's where we're at.
proactive.
Being proactive rather than reactive.
And as we go through the zoning, this, like you said, this all comes at us. So it's something that we're trying to address and make sure that all of you know, because this is stuff that we can be faced with. And it can happen because things are changing. So we're just trying to cover all the bases in zoning.
Tom?
Tom Wagernowski. I looked up a township in southwest Michigan, and 15 years ago, they adopted a PUD. And there's an actual lawsuit going against them by a developer. And imagine if they had not had a PUD.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So the PUD is making it extremely difficult for this developer to get what they want.
Well, they
And as
have,
you indicated, some of the PUDs cannot be changed. They are what they are challenged.
Changed the board.
Anybody else have any comments or concerns with the PUD language?
Lee Keller,
Familiar with.
quick comment. Onto Jamie's thing, I'm looking on page 3 at the minimum size and zoning requirements, and I underline, may include recreational things like golf courses, riding tables, athletic fields.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know that I mean, I love golf, my family, my brother's a golf pro, for crying out loud. But, you know, I don't know that we want people flying and boating over here to have golf days.
I think you have to include the things that
Yes.
you don't think are ever gonna
Gonna happen.
Got it.
just.
That's
so
what
that-
this is.
To go along with that, Lee. I understand totally. The first time we worked on the master plan, we had to put in sexually oriented.
Can't hear you,
business. Oh, I'm sorry. First time we worked on the master plan, we had to put in.
I can't wait to hear you scream.
Somebody deaf. You're
Yeah.
doing Right.
You should have sat in the front row, Ed.
Yeah, I'm scared you'd slap me then.
Yeah, probably. We had to add sexually oriented businesses.
Where are they?
They're not
No,
alive.
Did you get the vote on that?
You did get the cancel.
That was good.
The
for
public hearing.
No, when I was reading the zoning laws, when they took it over. I looked at it and I said, there's like 6 pages of sexually oriented regulations and I can do anything else I want.
I know, but that's, I was told, we have to cover it, be proactive.
I was gonna put a pole in the bird shop. They said no. Yeah, right, behind the curtain.
Who's swinging on the pole?
Are we? You'd never
Somebody
get
over
this
here.
again.
Somebody over here had their hand up for the question. Auctioneers, going once, going twice. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Yes, sir.
Might be a silly question, but when Jamie was referring to this developer, whoever bought a bunch of property now, and we do not have a PUD in place now. With, if they do implement the PUD, because he owned the property before that.
No.
He's still be able to go forward and say, well, I bought the property before you guys did the PUD.
No.
It would not.
No.
That's because of the application process, site plans and things like that. You know, as long as it's over the eight splits, then it would automatically go into the PUD program.
When the zoning goes into place, it becomes effective as to the dates of that. It's not like a house that might be non-conforming. The property doesn't sit that way.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just, not to the board, I wanted to address Tom's comment. I was wondering, is there any statistic about what this township in the southwest part of the state is spending to defend this lawsuit?
No, I just saw the headline.
Oh, okay. That'd be worth looking into,
It would.
because it could wipe us out.
Well, how much backing does the state give the township in a situation like that? Any, or does the township stand on its own?
I don't know.
Greg, could you answer that?
This governor?
I couldn't hear the gentleman that asked that question. What was it?
In the case of a lawsuit regarding a PUD, how much backing, if anything, does the state to give a local jurisdiction rather than it, or is it our financial burden completely?
I don't think the state provides any financial backing. Candidly, as long as the township's insurance is up to date, if you were challenged, it's like anything else, you'll have a deductible, but your insurance kicks in. So, you know, it's always good to double check that you've got the appropriate coverage. I can say with this PUD language, related, unrelated to potential challenge, the basis of this language was written by your attorney for another community. It was challenged in, I believe, Kent County and upheld. So it is a strong litigated ordinance that we know cannot be shot down. The question just then becomes back to what was raised earlier, is if somebody challenged a denial or whatever else, but this language as written is it's been tested.
I guess I feel like also if they're gonna do it or they're not. So the PUD puts a little bit of a roadblock instead of, and then if it's not gonna cost the township, it may deter somebody from doing some things that we don't want to happen. You know, it may not prevent, but at least it puts a roadblock, and then you have to think, is this developer is trying to make money, right? So if we put a roadblock there and that's gonna cost him money, and there's not that much reward on the other end, it may prevent some of the things that we don't want.
Very good, Jamie.
Chuck,
Chuck Eckel, when I read the article in the St. Ignace newspaper about the meeting here, it mentioned section 30 and 31. Does this PUD is planned just for that, or is it the whole island at this time?
No, that's not meaning land sections, right? If, that's talking about the sections of our ordinance.
Okay.
So it has to do with where it inserts in our ordinance.
All right, so on the short-term rental ordinance, that has already been amended in the newspaper. So if you folks pass this PUD as it's written, what's to stop you from amending it again? You know, to be more restrictive in the future.
We always have the right to revise and go over any zoning. It would have to go through, any changes would have to go through this same process.
Okay.
anything else on the PUD? The PUD program? Okay, we'll close this public hearing then.
Well, we just go to the second section.
Yep, go to the second section, within the,
Just that portion.
Yeah.
yep, this portion of it.
Oh,
We're
Yeah.
still going
Yeah,
on.
we're-
No, we're gonna-
Yeah, with regards to the PUD. The next, if you have a pamphlet, the next item is the tree preservation section.
What page number?
That is page 13 on the pamphlet. And I just wanna, I'll go over just the first couple pages here, and that'll be, then we'll open it up for comments. Township of Bois Blanc is hereby added to provide for tree preservation, which shall read in its entirety as follows. And this would be in section 3.19 of the ordinance. Tree preservation, the purpose and intent. Tree preservation is recognized as essential throughout the township to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the natural environment and the residents. The intent of this section is to promote the aesthetic, biological, and environmental benefit of trees and the natural landscape. Further, the township seeks to implement the goals of protection, preservation, and reforestation of trees as encouraged by the Bois Blanc Township Master Plan, recognizing the natural beauty and rural character of the township are increased. Tree-lined roads are an asset to the historic island character of the community. Mature trees create a spectacular canopy along roadways and create shade. New development should preserve tree stands. Avoiding the loss of significant woodlots to disease and infection is important. Tree canopy and health analysis, maintenance, and reforestation should regularly occur. Under definitions, the following words, terms, or phrases then used in this section shall have the meanings ascribed to them in this section, except where the content clearly indicates a different meaning. A buffer, a vegetative screening of mature trees or planted trees, or a combination of both that protects and enhances the existing natural beauty, and it's sufficient to reduce noise and visually screen abutting property from the impacts of the development property. Development, any planned unit development, condominium, site condominium plat, private road, site plan, or other applications subject to the review by the Township Planning Commission. Diameter breast height, the measurement of a tree diameter at 4½ feet above the ground. Definition of standard trees. An aggregation of trees or other growth occupying the specific area in sufficient uniform in species, composition, size, age, arrangement, and condition as to be distinguished from the forest or other growth on adjoining areas. Tree, a woody perennial plant with a 6 inches or greater of diameter, breast height, typically containing a single stem or trunk and bearing lateral branches. Road trees, pursuant to the purpose and intent of this section, the township seeks to preserve, enhance, and create tree-lined roads along road right-of-ways. No person or property shall allow the removal of any tree within the road right-of-way, nor remove any tree within the minimum road front setback pursuant to section 2.08 of this ordinance. Linearly measured to the diameter breast height of the tree trunk. Tree removal shall be permitted for only the purpose of driveways and or private roads intersecting the road right-of-way. Tree removal shall be the minimum amount necessary to reasonably access the lot for vehicular access and emergency services. Tree stands shall not be removed unless absolutely unavoidable. Residential, commercial, and industrial development. Any development with commercial use, industrial use, or a residential development of 2 or more residential buildings, sites, or units shall be subject to a buffer. The designation of a buffer shall be located along the side and rear lot lines for residential, commercial, or industrial development. The Planning Commission has the discretion to increase, decrease, or eliminate the buffer in whole or in part based upon the consideration of the following factors. Whether trees within or near the proposed buffer are mature trees, whether the buffer contains or could contain tree stands, The area of the proposed buffer related to the area of the overall development property. The location and type of existing adjacent uses. The type of permitted adjacent use. And the density permitted in the zoning district. And that is the language of that particular ordinance. Yes,
Street preservation only for 2 units and above, it's not
for residential. Yeah, and that would be for a new residential. Yeah. Development.
When it's
Yeah. Yeah.
duplex or more, yes.
Linda?
Who's gonna pay for the reforestation that recurs regular basis? And who's enforcing reforestation?
This has to do with new development, correct? So if in the process, let's say, there was, somebody wanted to put a 2-unit condominium unit in, then part of their site plan would be reforestation. Okay, would be part of their site plan and their scope of work.
So if I wanna buy a piece of property across the street and I wanna completely clear cut it, cause it's my piece of property. I can't do that.
You know, put a tennis court.
Nobody said you can't do that.
Okay,
I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that prohibits that. Am I wrong?
Well, the green belt.
Yeah, green belts and setbacks and other
Yeah,
than that,
yeah,
no.
but as long as you meet what's currently in the ordinance.
Yeah.
You know. This has to do with new development.
just with you.
So timber harvesting then is not in this?
That doesn't change.
Okay.
Hopefully, if you're gonna harvest timber, you have a reforestation program.
Okay, so.
As a company, you know, if you're gonna, you know, cut out.
So-
That would be part of your forest management program. You know, if somebody was gonna come in and harvest timber.
So the property that has been given to the school for tennis court, pavilion, vaulted toilets. On the site plan on that, it shows certain trees that we want to make sure those stay,
Absolutely.
but. The clearing of the other trees that are there, that's no problem according to this. It's new development.
You have to
You
clear.
can clear them
Yeah.
all. but
It would be-
you
it would
have
be
to
part of a-
transport some
It would
back
be,
in.
like in that case, it was part of their site plan.
Part of the site plan, that these trees are staying.
Right.
Yeah, and anytime there's a site plan that comes up, it's gonna go to a public hearing.
But I don't know as that site plan shows a buffer along roads. I-
Yes,
It does.
It does, okay, thank
It does,
you,
yeah.
Cindy, thank you, okay. I'm not trying to make problems.
No, they're valid questions, very valid question.
that's what a public hearing's for, Linda.
Thank you, Annie.
Yep.
So I have a question, is that okay? So.
Yes.
Okay, so again, like there was a few years ago, there was a large piece of property that was basically cleared. What does this do for anything like that?
Unless there's gonna be a development. Or construction,
So basically, right now, if they go through and clear every tree off of there. And there's no plan for reforestation, but I'm just asking for my own personal. This doesn't address that because they're not putting anything up there, but is there anything in place right now to protect against somebody doing that? Or that says, all right, if you're gonna take all these trees down or whatever. Are you putting something back? Or if you're gonna take every cedar down because you want a sugar bush,
if it's going to be,
is there anything in place about that?
I would have to double check, but I believe if that would be considered either commercial or agricultural. And to do anything like that, are there provisions? I don't know for sure if there's provisions in our ordinance right
I
now
can't recall.
I don't believe
To,
you have.
for any stipulation of that. I think right now, it really you can, other than your buffer on the road, front, you can,
That and.
you can do anything you want with your property.
That
Yeah.
and depending how close you are to the water, because
Right.
depending on how close you are to the water, then there are other laws that come into play with LMAS,
Army
with
Corps.
erosion and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then, of course,
It
any
all has to
wetland,
take place.
any wetland areas, would be, would come into that to play too.
Okay.
What you can do, what
I'm
you
just
can't do.
curious.
Yeah.
Ju- Like I've
Adam?
Ed, yes,
said
Yeah,
before.
question on that.
Profit.
We all know we need gravel for our roads, and we all know that the gravel pit out there is a lease from the state. And they keep clearing trees back. What does the tree prevent, putting trees back where they clear out to mine more gravel? Has that been addressed?
I have
No.
no idea.
I don't
The-
think that
It's
anything,
Land, so we can't really control
right,
that.
I was gonna say,
So
I
the state
think.
can do what they wanna do.
Greg's, any of our zoning does not necessarily apply as far as state-owned land, does it? Does their stuff, I think, overrides anything that we have here that they would do on state land.
Correct. If that's operated by the state, you don't have any control over it.
It's not operated by the state.
It is state land, it's a
It's
lease,
leased,
but it's still
but
state
doesn't the
land.
leaser have to maintain back the certain amount of woods? A lease,
It's still state land, state has the final say in it and undergoes the contract to which someone else leases the land for the gravel.
And if that operation is already being conducted, the township can't go
is.
back on them.
Right.
My other question, Adam, this island is overforested. You used to have more fire cutting trails. If we ever get a fire going in the dry conditions, you will not have no island left here. So,
That's something that's been addressed with the DNR, when they were up in here last year and stuff, but that, we need to stay on topic here so we can keep
well,
going
I'm
here.
just saying, you talk about trees, you won't have no trees if you get a major fire going.
Right. Yep, I think that's general consensus for the whole island.
Yep.
Everybody feels that way.
DNR always blinks, do nothing right.
Okay, any other questions regarding the language of the tree preservation? Okay, move on to the Pines Park. Pines Park. Diane, would you give us a little background, everybody a little background on that and what has transpired with that whole?
For any of you that were at the BBI Association meeting in August, if you will recall, a question was brought up by a member of the Pines that how come we don't include the beach park when we look at the parks that the township has? And the reason for that is it's not our land. When we're looking at management of parks for the township, it's township parks, and that is a private, you might as well say park. It belongs to the Pines subdivision. When the subdivision was put together back in 1809 or whatever it was laid out with the state of Michigan as subdivision plotted lands and a park that went all the way along the lake frontage. So we don't have any jurisdiction in that.
Where does that start and stop?
Yeah, all the way along.
I have a plot map in there that you're welcome to look at. I can't tell you exactly where it starts, but it's part of the state approved plot map. So I know that it goes down past Jamie, I think
I think it goes
someplace.
to Miller's.
And it goes all the way down to the gazebo,
Yes.
probably. So that's a general idea of where that is.
That's right.
When I tried to explain that we don't have any jurisdiction in that because there was a concern about some actions that were being taken that was on beach park property. Trees being taken down and a deck being created or something. Beach houses. At that time, it was stated that I know that the township passed some kind of laws in that. And all I could do was say, I wasn't aware of it. I would look into it. Well, in looking into it, they were absolutely right. Back in 2014, there was apparently, I wasn't part of it, so I have no idea. There was apparently some incident in 2014 that brought all of this to light. That started legal to be able to look at ordinances that would allow the township to, at least in some portion way, have some kind of jurisdiction in there. That ordinance is what you have in front of you today, that same ordinance. Back in 2014, Planning Commission looked at it. They made a couple of revisions from the original draft. They had a public hearing on it. They went through all of the steps of publication, sent it to the township board in October of 2014. The township board, my minutes say that it was adopted. However, for it to become legal, it has to be your adoption, just like Chuck mentioned that the adoption of the short-term rental was in the paper. The adoption of any kind of ordinance has to be posted in the newspaper within 14 days. And then it is added to your textual document of your zoning. Those steps never happened. And because those steps never happened, and it's not a matter of, I just can't find the right paperwork. I went through the archives of St. Ignace News and I went through the archives of the Sheboygan Times News or whatever it is. There, it's not there. It didn't happen. Why it didn't happen, I can't say. Things dropped through the cracks. I will, have no idea. But because it's been so long, we have to start the process over again. So what we've done is take that original approved document. It's being displayed as for public comment in a hearing so that you can all look at it. You can weigh in on it if you wish. And we start the process all over again.
So
That's where
nothing-
we're at.
Where is
So
that
nothing
document?
has changed?
Nothing has been changed in it at
2014,
all.
it's the
Nothing
same.
has been changed in it.
Should have been, there be changes to it.
Is that document available?
It's actually part of,
It is.
Yeah.
yes, it's,
Yeah.
that starts on
Starts
bottom
on
of
page 14
14.
Okay. I have a look.
through the end
Yeah.
of your pamphlet thing.
The association website, I mean, can anybody?
It's on the township
I mean, the
website.
township.
Yeah.
Sorry, township.
Yes, it is posted under today's meeting as an attachment there, so anybody can pull it up and look at it. And I'll be glad to email it. If somebody needs me to, I can email it. I've had some copies here available in the township office too. But, all this does is actually give the township zoning administrator the ability to make some decisions on structures. That's all it is, really. I mean, honestly, if you think about this, you can't build something on someone else's property.
No.
And nobody owns the beach park. It has a right of use for everybody in the Pine subdivision. So this acknowledges that there are structures there right now. It puts some parameters in place for how those structures can be maintained. And if something would happen that they were totally destroyed, they cannot be replaced.
Point of order through the chair. Any beach area on any lake, Great Lakes, inland lakes, is not, you can walk it, you can be on it, you just can't camp on it.
From the
The
high water mark down.
Right,
This,
Correct.
this
yeah, okay.
has
This is
stipulated land that's
You can say
bigger
that,
than
okay.
that. So, it really, I mean, if you have any questions in any of the wording, that's really what it's there for, is it puts parameters around how you can maintain what's there. It puts parameters around if you want to put a new stairway down, how it's reviewed and looked at it. And it stipulates the idea that this is, this is beach park,
And tree removal.
right?
So does that mean that?
Chuck,
Sorry.
So if that property is public,
It's not,
These
it's,
people-
it's not.
It's
not public.
it's the Pine subdivision,
only for them.
Yes.
Yes.
basically, yes.
They've been very kind to let anybody use the beach park area, especially
Yeah.
down around the old dock. But the reality is, yes, that park exists for the Pines subdivision owners.
You can access it, you can still walk that beach.
Mhm.
So cars coming down in front of our place and parking and getting out from people that just got off the boat.
Yep, yep,
You are off.
yep.
Cannot be there,
No,
Well,
they,
not-
they,
they're
It's,
not Pines residents.
is it,
No,
is it,
they
a road?
not supposed to.
Is
It's
it
a road.
something?
It's a road, and I've run into that too.
So it's one thing to drive down the road, you see that you missed the 4 signs that say dead end. You get to the end and you turn around and you drive over the sidewalk and you get out of there. That's a mistake,
Mhm,
right? We'll give you that. Parking, getting out, having a picnic,
mhm.
walking from there down to the gazebo and back is not allowed for anyone except Pines residents. Is
Unless
that
they're
true?
invited, they can walk up to the high water mark, but they have to get to the high water mark. Like if people start at the dock and walk all the way down the shoreline to your property, that's allowed up to the high water mark.
Sure.
Them, just like they can't like put out a picnic basket and sit on your beach and eat. But they can, like I
On the
can,
beach part.
I can, and
Invite-
anybody else can that owns property in the Pine subdivision.
Right.
None of this would happen if the road didn't go the road would have gone where it was supposed to go, it wouldn't have been as much of a problem.
Yeah.
But, and it's mostly about, this is more about people building things on the beach or taking, somebody going through and clear cutting so that they can have a better view on.
This won't take care of all of the
Again.
issues that come up. I can, it won't, you know, there are things that are gonna be outside even the jurisdiction of this ordinance that says this isn't township responsibility, this is a civil matter. And you'll have to handle it yourself as a civil matter. But this does at least, give some jurisdiction to the township to help step in as far as the structures go.
Another point of order, you can't build anything within so many feet of the high water mark, am I right?
Any
Yes.
rules that
You
have
can't
to
build
do
anything.
with Army Corps of Engineers and stuff this does not override any of it. That all stands into place.
Okay.
Kevin?
How can we find out, or what is the high water mark?
Uh,
Different.
Army Corps of Engineers and DNR should be able to tell you, there's someplace, there is a spot on a lawsuit on a website that actually gives you like measurements and tells you what that is, but I can't tell you where that's at. Yeah, I knew there was something
There's so
that
many
you
feet
could
above
find.
the water level.
Yeah,
It's like 20-25 feet. Kurt?
Yeah, I'm Kurt Fonson. I gave a copy of a picture to the board,
Mhm.
and that's part of one of the reasons I'm here is the amount. I do care, I've been on the island my whole life. And that piece of property was totally ruined by people with their own benefit. And that's what's happening to more property right now.
Right.
If the Corps of Engineers, nobody is coming in and stopping any building or any tree cutting. But they don't own the trees, and it's illegal to cut. So to me, even the people that are cutting them know that they're not supposed to.
You
But
mean,
what's
You've
gonna
got, you've
happen
got the trees on the road right away?
from the sidewalk to the beach, on beach
In the
property,
park.
that's
Okay.
park property.
Okay.
What's gonna happen, and I've seen it over my lifetime already, is if they start removing the stumps. The next time we have high water, you're gonna lose the sidewalks and everything. You're gonna
Right.
walk right
It'll
through it.
erode.
But they're doing this for their own benefit, which is wrong. I've been a resident of the Pines my whole life. But this stuff has to be stopped if we care about that. It's not. You know, it doesn't matter if she doesn't live in the Pines. If she's down there. Like they said, the Pines dock has been public for everybody in the island for a year, my whole life.
Mhm.
So there are people that don't care. My sister happens to be one, she's not here today. But she is happy to see people come down and use the dock and do so. But to destroy the property is wrong. So I'm hoping that the county does do something to at least help address this, but the Corps of Engineers of the DNR has done nothing to stop construction or
Well, as Diane mentioned, this ordinance was presented in 2014. Was approved by or passed on from the planning commission, went to the board, was approved. And it just never
Need that final step.
never got the final step and stuff, so this is more procedural. You know, we've had a chance to review it. We like to say, we have not made any changes to it or anything like that. This is the original 2014 draft. And stuff, so.
I have a question. If, let's say, something happens and somebody does take out a large number of trees that is gonna create erosion, or that everyone in the pines, but that person or the 3 people that are in that row that are benefiting from those cuttings, is there anything as, like, how do we go back and say, you need to restore these trees? Like, how do we get that back if it's already happened?
I don't think you can now,
And because of Ben.
because this would go into effect, you know, after our process, and then it has to go to the county, and then it has to go to the board, and then you have the notification.
Right, I just would
I-
like to see something in there that if somebody does go out and take out a bunch because they live, you know, here and they wanna be able to see the bridge. Or whatever they can see, if they wanna see Sheboygan, the lights.
Right.
How do we go back and say, no, you need to put those back, this is gonna screw us all up?
Kurt,
Yeah, I think in a way what she's saying is correct. But I still think you have to get hold of Corps of Engineers. I don't think they're totally. They can't avoid from not improve the law. They have no right to touch those trees to begin with. So I don't think it's just, oh, okay, it's all right. I don't think it's all right. I think there is a way to make them go back and fix what's been damaged. Because they got no permit from the state to do it.
So
And
it
it's
would
within
be,
the high water mark.
so it would be up to the Army Corps,
Well, they would have to enforce.
because this isn't in place right now. So the Army
Yes.
Corps should have been, informed, and they should be the ones that tell them to make reparation.
Yes.
Currently.
Currently,
You remember when we were talking about the clearing of trees and that there wasn't a lot we could do on our own property, and I said, unless it's within a certain distance from Lake Shore, then there are other permits and stuff that are required that's over and above us.
well, and that property's already designated as park.
It's already parked and it's already regulated by the state.
Right.
My point is from my position and stuff, I wasn't aware of the other ordinance as Diane wasn't. I didn't know that was that close, or was aware that it was gonna be put into effect. They still have to have permit from the Corps of Engineers.
Absolutely.
And they didn't get them.
Right,
My point is this damage is going on and it goes on for. The easiest one to point out was the picture I gave you. The picture that.
oh, yeah,
The old
Yeah,
Lover's
this
Lane.
again,
Lover's Lane,
We called for years, it was called.
yep, Lover's Lane.
right.
That was destroyed for one person's benefit.
Mhm.
It's never been restored. The
No.
person who owns it now had nothing to do with the trees being cut. They might have cut or trimmed a couple since then.
Yeah,
But originally that was all done by one person.
Right.
And now they're having the same problem existing from what I call pecans to gazebo.
mhm.
And it is continuing, but from my position of both, I don't like to get involved in. Yeah, I'm hoping the township is now as a speaker for all of us, not just me.
Mhm.
I care because I'm here.
Right,
And adding to and I'm just trying to learn. Okay, so if one of the concerns is erosion, are those stumps still there?
They are right now.
So can we prevent the stump removal
If the state gets involved.
so that we don't have to worry about the sidewalk being wiped out? Cause I don't even think the person that that did the cutting wants their sidewalk to go away either.
I don't think they want the sidewalk to go away, but I don't know that they.
They may not know well enough that that's what's gonna happen.
So,
That's something we'll have to look into, Mike.
I just wanted to ask, because I don't know, what jurisdiction does the township have in the Pine subdivision?
Right now, we have none other than our normal zoning as to the building, building of houses and square footage and setbacks and all
Are the
of
roads
those.
public through there?
The roads are private, so we do not have, we
County
don't
pays
do
something.
anything as far as replacement.
Except the main road.
Except for the county road that goes around here.
You're on.
You're
and,
right.
you're-
But the rest of it is private drive, so it's up to the subdivision or the property owners to maintain those, to plow them, to clear them, do whatever needs to be done there. The same thing with the park, really, we have no jurisdiction at the moment with any of it. The only thing we do have some say in, because it was requested by the public that we take responsibility and ownership of the dock. We now own the dock and an easement to get to the dock. And that's it. I mean, that's it. So, as far as we really don't have any jurisdiction in any of it. This zoning ordinance that's here would give us the jurisdiction to step in and say, okay, so this is a governing way that we're going to have that speaks to structures only in the beach park.
I've heard 3 people this summer. Well, 2 and another one sort of way, but about trying to reactivate the Pines Association. Would that be a helpful thing? Do you think?
Probably, yes.
Probably.
It
It
would
would
be,
give you more control over things.
you'd be watching what's happening, everybody right in front of you.
That
which
would
is
be
the best.
like today, we would look at an HOA, a homeowners association for subdivision.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that seems like a good thing.
Association is not voice by town anymore, it's point of pin, they're point of pins, it's the whole island.
Right,
Well,
but there
that's not
was a
gonna
Point
help.
of Pens Association.
Right.
They'd have to
Before,
create a
and
whole
it's been.
new-
That's what she just said.
We could reactivate it.
That's what she just-
You would have to create an HOA
Yes.
for
We'd have
point
to
of
start all
pins.
over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
It
You would
was
have to
never-
legally
it was
create
never
it.
legally abandoned either.
yeah, that's what I'm
first
saying, I was
place.
told it was just kind of like.
Did you have current meetings? If they do.
I think what we're saying is we don't really know what the process would be to
Okay.
reactivate. And if that's something that the association wants, the Pine subdivision wants to do, then it's something that they should look into.
Right.
That you guys would have to look into. It's outside of the realm of any kind of township
Right.
governance.
Yeah, I'm Ann Simpson and I live in the Pines, and I just had a question about with the trees. Like and I'm happy to pay for it, but I guess it's beach park property, but there are dead trees that can be dangerous. And I don't want anyone to get hurt, including myself or my property.
Are they on your property?
Well, there were some, I mean, they were gonna fall over the road,
Okay,
things like that.
but they're
and-
pretty much in the park, on the park.
Yeah, I mean,
land.
yeah, just the way the plat is, and so,
I think that would be something that, like if this went through, that would be part of the
would I have to
the
get,
maintenance, with the township would be part of the maintenance.
I just
you
don't
know,
want
of
to
that.
spend months getting permission and then the tree falls down, you know what I'm saying? I just, because I live right there and I want people to be able to go down the road, I just have paid to have them removed.
So right now, the way it sits, the state would have to come in
Yeah.
and maintain that tree.
To remove.
And well, however they deem necessary, whether they just take it down to a stump or take it out, we don't know.
The word live trees be inserted
Yeah,
in the language.
right,
Yeah.
so when it's dead, it's
Uh-huh.
dead,
boy.
Right,
and it's gonna fall.
exactly.
So if that
Ethan?
tree falls on her property or hits her house, who's liable for the damages, like if it goes through the
It's
window?
all
or
part of
through
the
the
subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, good
Probably the
question.
state, I don't know.
Kurt,
Sure,
no,
You were talking about her
on the park.
they're not in the park, they're inside the road. The only
Oh.
ones,
But the road,
the ones from the road to the lake are not gonna reach her house.
yeah, but the one on the road, so, and nobody owns the road, right?
There's no tree in the road.
Well, not now, but there was.
In the road?
Well, it fell down and,
Well, if it fell down, if it's on your side of the road, it's
It
your
was.
tree. If it's
but
on.
it's my property, is what I'm saying. It's
Why-
like
The only thing is.
it's the Pines
from the
Association
road-
property.
From the road to the lake is not yours.
Right, I
From the
know
road to
that.
Your house.
And this is, that's why it would, might be a good idea
Yeah.
for situations like this, for the association subdivision.
Yeah.
To have a group to maintain some things like that,
Yeah.
so it doesn't, the onus of it doesn't just fall on you. It answered your question, if a tree falls on my house that's on state land, my insurance will cover that.
Yeah. But I've had trees trimmed, that are on the beach park property because they had dead branches and, I mean, not taking them down, but.
If I'm right, according to your
It says
thing,
it
if
in
they're
here about
dead,
maintenance.
you can take dead stuff off.
That's it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You don't have to get a permit to take a dead tree or a dead.
Exactly.
Branch.
Right.
This
But
is not gonna be
why-
outside.
Yeah.
No, there's no way.
And I know there's been, I know it helps in that. I was under the assumption, I talked to Jamie a couple times.
Oh, boy.
that Even the road through the pine. I don't know if it was busted on that, the road's not in the right place. But I was led to believe that that road is to stay where it is, not be put where it should have been.
Huron Drive.
And
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be 66 feet. It's supposed to be what it is and maintained at what it is, not given.
The part that is not county road.
Huh?
You're talking about the part that is not county
No,
road.
it's talking about what it is.
Is technically, because there was a lawsuit filed to try to close that and make them go in the back. They lost the lawsuit. The only reason I'm asking, all the people that were involved now are gone. My dad, Victor, they testified, but they won with the county. The road was supposed to stay where it was, not be any bigger. And I was under the assumption that it was not 66 feet wide through there. Jamie disagrees with me and tells me that the county says they own 66 feet. I don't think they do.
I believe according to any paperwork that I've seen, it is 66 feet.
Yeah, we've had our,
Yeah.
during that lawsuit mess of a
Yeah.
number of years ago, our property was surveyed.
Hmm.
And the lot ending lines are at least 30 feet up from the center of the road.
Yeah.
Where they say my property begins.
Yes. Yes,
So,
that's where the markers and stuff
no,
are.
front,
The one that goes in front of our house.
right.
Yeah.
What I was told by the County Road Commission when I called, because as you all probably know, I'm trying to get a new well and all this other
We're kind of getting.
rigmarole that I'm trying to, advance the bird shot. When I talked to Dirk and I said, I need to know where this easement ends, so I can, figure out if I can fit a well, right? So he said, well, go to the center of the road and measure over 33 feet. And I said, well, the road's drifted 3 feet in the last whatever years. So that 3 feet is significant when you have a 50 by 100 lot.
Yes.
And he basically just said, you're out of luck, we're not doing anything. So, but I pulled the lawsuit, and what the lawsuit said is it gives specific plot marks along the road. And it literally, that road eats up 40 feet of my property
Wow.
that
Yeah,
I can't get back, and I pay
Yeah.
taxes on.
yes.
We need
So.
to get back, we need to get back on topic.
Question.
But,
Excuse, some of these questions are kind of outside the realm of
Yeah.
this. So, I know you have questions and concerns, and I think this is great that you have a forum and a way to bring it in. Please remember, there's planning commission meetings at any time that you can come to.
Every 2 weeks. You wanna join us?
But we
Feel
do
free.
need, we do need to
We
stay,
have an ongoing Zoom or FaceTime hookup for those of us that don't.
No.
Live here all year round.
no, we don't.
So we don't get to know
pay your
anything about
taxes.
them.
I'll tell you what, most of the times when things happen, they're in the summer. They're really in the summer and winter time, we're going through stuff we need to get through, and a lot of this.
Oh,
hits
no,
the summer.
according to all the people that
Yeah,
are
but-
here,
Yeah.
we do all this stuff in secret.
That's why I'm trying to say, it's not how it's working.
Secret now, Ann.
Frank, I can tell you that if you have specific concerns or questions and you want to email them to any one of us on
Yes,
the committee or to me as the clerk,
we are
we'll bring
happy.
it to the board and look at it
Yeah.
and get back to you.
The minutes are free. Yeah.
Yes, no,
to a certain extent, we pay a subscription. for the
And there's a
service,
limited
but,
time for that.
There's, going back to, getting this ordinance, approved.
Your tax.
In part of the process, does it require you to send a notification to the property owners that this affects?
No,
no.
it's not like you're asking for a zoning variance where if somebody puts in for a zoning variance or an application, then law says, yes, you have to contact the address, the properties that adhere to that piece of property. Or if you're asking for a rezone or something like that, but not for general zoning
I guess
cases.
my point is, if I were a property owner there and I saw a tree that could be dangerous to myself or to someone else, I would cut it and I wouldn't even think about asking someone
Right.
else.
Yeah, too.
But yet, you're saying in this ordinance that you shouldn't be doing that, that you need to go to someone else and make sure that that's okay.
Well,
So that's why I'm thinking.
Well, I
some
think-
people, I guess
Go
my
ahead.
point is that some people may just think that what they're doing is okay
Right.
when they don't know
Right.
that there's an ordinance there to say, else, something else.
Right.
But I think in response to your comment, I think that if this was in place, it would give an avenue locally to come to and say, hey, we got this tree, it's dead, it needs to come out.
I
And
agree
then,
with
you know,
that,
and
but
then-
my point is if they never knew that that ordinance existed.
Right.
And I mean, there's probably people that are in that group of people.
Sure.
That have no idea that this meeting is going on today. And so I guess my point is if they never knew that that existed, why would they do anything to do the right
What's the
thing?
title of their land say?
Well, it doesn't exist right now.
I feel like,
But I'm saying for the future, that's why I guess I'm making a recommendation that somehow you notify this group of people.
I feel
that
like
this
I
is a
need
requirement.
to.
feed people though.
I feel like I need to interrupt here a little bit and because this particular ordinance for the beach park does not speak to trees. Please read it. It speaks to how we handle structures on that property only.
Yes.
Now, your concerns are something that maybe we need to take into consideration with the one before that. That talks about tree preservation and tree maintenance, like Chuck spent his whole life knowing this tree is diseased and needs to come down, or how do we preserve what's there? Those are things maybe that we need to relook at from the other ordinance, but the ordinance for the Pines Park doesn't speak to that, so I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea of what this is going to require and what it's not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dale?
This is sort of in a different direction. Our land here has a lot of archaeological sites on it. And I'd like to see something in place before people start clearing things. That there's an archaeological review of the area. I do know for a fact, one person down at the west end, unbeknownst, anyone until it happened. He wanted to build, he bought the property and he went in there and bulldozed everything down to the water. In doing so, he completely destroyed a lime kiln that was here hundreds of years ago. It'll never be replaced. If there is a review of some place on the island, at least that would be happening. I know on my property, I know there is 2 spots. We don't touch them, but we don't. It's not on any record. Reason why, I'd like to throw that out.
I have.
Well, it's
my
definitely-
husband has done that for years and never got anywhere.
You
He
know?
wanted people to come and check this place out. They don't care.
Oh, you mean come and check?
Yeah.
Well, my son's an archaeologist.
That's,
Yeah, well,
He will come here if you notify him.
Okay.
bring him on.
we'll put that on our list, Dale.
That should
You know,
be on the
something to look
deed
at.
problem.
Right.
Actually,
Go ahead.
kind of heated.
Chuck is,
I just got one quick last little thing, working with the states and for the state and 40 years of doing trees several times, we work for them.
Different topic.
They are extremely unionized, and when they work, they have like standards they have to do during the day. That's why when you drive down the road, you see these state guys, lots of times sitting down, standing around a truck. They have a quota, I think it's 140 inches diameter trees they have to cut a day. They have minimums of equipment and people on site and all that. And if they did get involved cutting trees over here, and they did that, it'd be extremely costly. Because of, you know, the boat and all the people, the logistics of it. And that's something you might wanna think about a little bit. You know, I mean, they're gonna, someone's gonna pay for it. I'm sure it's not the state.
Right. Any other questions regarding the Pines Park ordinance? All right, we'll close this portion of the public hearing. Take a 10-minute recess.
Sure. Greg, thank you for joining us.
35.
Yes, Greg, thank you so much.
Yes, love.
I think we're set though, right?
I think the
We're set,
public
Greg.
hearing is good.
Good for you for staying awake, Greg.
Thank you. Do you need me to stick around? Cause I'm happy to stick around.
No, you're good.
So I think we're just gonna, look at, review some minutes from previous meeting and stuff and set up a new meeting for review and stuff.
Okay. Good seeing
Thank you,
y'all.
Greg.